to call the first race of the day. It's the final race of the weekend in the Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge. Richard Craill and Matt Nolte, and boys, this one's also a series within a series because it will determine the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy.
It absolutely is, Noons. Good morning to you. Good morning, everybody. What a beautiful day we've got in stall here at Sandown Raceway, the Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge. 30-lap Jim Richards Endurance Trophy. Richard Craill alongside me. Two great races to add to the plethora of races we've had this year in this series, and it now comes down to the final 30 laps.
Morning, Nolts. Morning, everyone. Beautiful day, isn't it? Sun beaming down on this magic 3.1 kilometre circuit, one of the most famous venues in the country, and demanding, challenging. And yesterday we saw all of the characteristics of Sandown thrown at us. We saw big moments off the road. We saw wheel-to-wheel, close, hard racing, and a really good show across a couple of Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge races. As Noon said, it is the final round of the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy for 4 rounds in the championship. One of the races is longer. It's 45 minutes long like this one, and that counts towards the Jim Richards Enduro Trophy. It's become a real hallmark of this category, Matt. It's a trophy every driver wants to win at the moment. Harry Jones, who also leads the overall standings, is in front in the Enduro Cup, and he can clinch that with a solid race finish today. But the big picture as well is the overall Cup Challenge title. There's 1 round to go. That will be with the Shannons Nationals at the Bend in just over a month's time in November. So there's the championship permutations we've got to talk about over the course of this race as well.
Well, we've had so many races this year in this championship. I'm going to put you on the spot. Which has been the best?
Oh, no, that's like picking which is your favourite child or your favourite candy bar.
I'm glad you answered it like that, because it's been one of those seasons. Every single race has had the making of a championship finale, and well, this is part 1 of that, with still 3 races to go coming up at the Bend Motorsport Park in November. But for now, a much longer distance than what we've seen for the previous 2 races. 13 laps yesterday. Today, it's 30 laps around this track.
And the big story will be tyre usage, and Sandown's not overly difficult on tyres. You do get some rear degradation, especially because of all the power down, the slow corners and accelerating out. But a lot of teams have kept their brand new set of Michelin tyres for this race. You're allowed 2 sets of brand new tyres, 8 tyres across the course of a weekend, and how you manage those really plays a role in building to this 3rd and final longer race. I saw brand new sticker tyres on the orange and yellow car that leads the field. That's Aaron Love. He won both races yesterday. The young 17-year-old from WA. His dad's here. Mum Nikki watching from home. G'day to everyone in Perth who'll be cheering on one of the great young rising stars of Australian motor racing. Ryan Sewell will go from the outside of the front row. Championship leader Harry Jones next. We saw some wild racing yesterday, Nolts. And we saw Harry bowl the wide down at turn 1. He drove the car off the road, and we speculated that, I wonder if that was intentional. Asked him this morning, it was. He said, I saw Ryan and Aaron 3 wide, banging doors, and I decided to get out of it. I drove off the road on purpose to stay out of what could be a championship-defining accident. And he still worked his way back up into the podium. Anyway, that is heads-up, smart race car driving, isn't it?
And the reflexes to do that at such a critical point in the race. Matty Stewart up on top of the pit building. They'll be out later on this afternoon in Kumo Super 3. Their final race of this year's championship is these guys thinking about that on the run with so many cars around them and on tyres that aren't exactly up to temperature is quite incredible. Here's your starting grid.
Yeah, so Love, Sewell and Jones at the pointy end, as we've been talking about there, the 3 key contenders so far this weekend. Christian Pancioni led race 2 yesterday, unfortunately dropped it. He owned that one. He'll go from 4th. Max Fideau from P5. He's had a challenging weekend. Sam Shahin leads the way in the Pro-Am class. He's off 6. Ollie Shannon's doing a terrific job in his first weekend in a Cup car from 7th. Brett Bolton and Michael Hovey, the McElrea teammates, from 8th and 9th. And Ross McGregor, a record number of round starts, 34 this weekend for the Victorian.
Yep. Rob Woods, Graham Williams, Tommy Taplin, who had that drive-through penalty earlier yesterday in race number 2. Danny Studdard, who went off on the opening lap on the back straight with the modifications that have happened there to turn number 6. And Belford at the back of the field there. Watching car 38, Ollie Shannon steps into the Cameron Crick car. Crick focusing on the ECB Super Utes for the rest of the season with the Mitsubishi Triton team. But Ollie Shannon inside the top 10 on 2 occasions this weekend so far. Great debut for the number 38 car.
Yeah, he's been really impressive just in his approach. Quietly spoken young guy, been racing Aussie cars, but his approach to it's been terrific. And I spoke with Garth Walden, very experienced racer who runs that team, and he's been just quietly impressed with how he's approached it and just the initial speed. These are very difficult cars to drive. They require a quite unique driving style that sometimes takes some time to get used to. So if you jump in and quick from the outset, it's a really positive sign. So 30 laps will be the distance today. Jim Richards Endurance Trophy winners include Cooper Murray last year, Jordan Love the year before that. Some big names have won it. Jackson Evans in 2016. It's a key title in Porsche racing. It gets decided this morning in perfect conditions at Sandown, and it's a perfect launch from the pole sitter. Aaron Love away nicely. Harry Jones was slow. He got wheel spin in the Helimods car, and he's going to be buried in the bottom half of the top 10. Great start for Doe in 77. He's second behind his teammate. Pancioni's wheel-to-wheel with Ryan Sewell, who wasn't away well off the front row. But the man who won races 1 and 2 clear in front early in race 3.
And more drama at the back of the field on the first lap. It had to happen. What about the start from Max Bordeaux, the Bob Jane Team Arts entry? It was almost lightning off the line. He's moved up, and Murray damaged the front of his car, parked on the entry into turn number 1. But it's Aaron Love that leads us down the back straight with a big margin already back to Max Bordeaux. Pancioni third, Ryan Sewell is fourth, and Harry Jones in fifth.
Just keeping my eyes on the flag points for news of a safety car, because quite a lot of damage to the front of Nathan Murray's Garage 1 Morris Finance entry, and it's dropped the coolant, so damaged the radiators that are in behind the front bar. So let's go back and unpick that start straight away. Brilliant launch, and we are going safety car. The ANCAP safety car will be on the circuit. Love's start was tremendous, but we need to unpick what went on a little bit further in the pack. You can see the bright orange car of Nathan Murray at the back of the field. I think the shot as they appear into view down the hill might show us. So let's go back. Greg ran the outside, so it was Jonathan Glixton going down on that curb. Got into his teammate Matt Belford. They had a lot of damage in those cars yesterday. Danny Studdard was on the outside, but we couldn't see through all of that where Nathan Murray ended up. Might have just been a bit of collateral damage, unfortunately.
Innocent party, no question about it. So the ANCAP safety car is out at the end of the first lap for the turn 1 incident involving 3 cars. That start from Love was awesome, but for mine, Max Bordeaux, it was very, very good, to say the least. Yeah,
it was an outstanding launch from the third row of the grid, and he's just desperate for a strong result. It's been a really challenging weekend, been a challenging season. One of our key title contenders this year in Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge. He's third in the championship, 56 points behind Aaron Love now. That's a lot of coolant on the road. That's all of the coolant from 3.6 litre engine, flat 6 in the front, radiators in the front, engine in the back of the 997 Cup car that runs in Class B in this category. So let's just see if we can find out where that damage was caused, because Nathan was behind the contact earlier. So we'll see the next shot in a second, and you'll see them barreling into view. Actually, this will show us from behind. Wow, Jonathan Glixton came in real quick and was a long way on the grass on driver's left and launched himself over that curb. And unfortunately, Matt Belford, a little bit of collateral damage from his teammate. That's no way to treat a Porsche, but sometimes you need some tough love.
You wouldn't do that to yours.
I've got enough positive to start with.
Started back in the pits.
Yeah, caught me up with that.
Troublesome day yesterday. Yeah, that's very rare. You're speechless, by the way. So repairs going onto his car. Belford's car back in the pits as well. They're trying to get back out here without going a lap down in the process. New splitter going on the front.
Okay, boys.
This is entry. Let's have a look again. Watch the Bob Jane Team Arts car in the background of this shot. Row number 3. Hard to tell from that point, but man, that was very, very lightning.
Either perfect reaction times, or they're looking at it in race control to see if he went a little bit too early. But that just looked like a really good start from the young South Aussie graduate in Formula Ford.
He was moving just like the front guys were. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think he's okay. That's just a terrific launch. The margin, the drivers say, in getting one of these cars off the line well and doing it really badly is tiny. It's a very, very small window. All the grip is over the rear axle. All the weight hanging over the rear tyres in these cars. No, there's nothing there.
Light's already gone.
That's just a perfect launch. He had no wheel spin, drove the car off the road, and it was probably made to look worse because Harry Jones' start was pretty awful just in front of him. Back live, behind the ANCAP safety car. I don't think there's anything in that, Matt. I think he's okay.
No, the light's well and truly out by that point, so that'll be safe from ANCAP. Safety car continues out. Why don't we look at the highlights of race number 2 from yesterday afternoon here at Sandown Raceway, the Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge. A much better start. They won't hold as long as what we saw earlier in the day.
Yeah, this was a really good race. They were 4 wide on the run down into the first corner. Now, this was what I talked about earlier. Harry Jones just went, no, I'm getting out of this. I'm staying out of the way. David Gregg and Andrew Goldie, they've had so many great battles this year. They're good mates. Unfortunately got into each other. This resulted in a drive-through penalty for Tom Taplin. Got into the back of Max Vidot. Did a really good job keeping the car out of the tyre bundle. Unfortunately lost the front splitter on that car later on. And then this battle for the lead, Christian Pancioni found himself in front. Danny Studdard off the road.
And Studdard was actually unloaded in that incident going across the top. We didn't actually get to see that yesterday towards the end of the race. Taplin came back on the track after his drive-through penalty, which dropped him a further 26 seconds down the field. This was the move earlier in the race for Ryan Sewell that dropped him to the back of this top 3 battle.
Actually, glad you mentioned that with the contact with Harry. He was given a suspended fine for that. It wasn't given a penalty, but they definitely looked at that in race control. These were the key moments of the motor race. Unfortunately, Christian Pancioni came off the road, handed the lead to Aaron Love. Ryan Sewell closed right in towards the end. Couldn't quite work his way past. The two youngsters, Sonic v McElrea, as it's been for so many times in Porsche Pace Carrera Cup and Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge. They went at it at the front. Aaron Love, West Aussie, went 2 from 2. Very, very productive Saturday. Wow, that's a lot of coolant down the road on the entry to turn 1.
Going to take a bit of time to clean up, so they're going to try and usher the cars to the bottom of that. While we clean the mess up, it's right in the middle in the turning point into turn number 1 there as well. So Love, Vidot, Pancioni, Ryan Sewell, Harry Jones is the top 5. And for the 3rd day in a row, Sam Shaheen is leading the Pro-Am class. Bolton is 7th, Ollie Shannon is 8th, Michael Hovey in 9th, and Tom Taplin completes the top 10 here while we got a significant clean-up going on. Still on the ANCAP safety car. These laps do count behind the safety car here too. 28 laps to go.
That's about as awkward a spot you'd want fluid down on the road on an entry to a very quick corner.
Or turn 6.
Yeah, it's a very large brake application down there. Turn 1 is deceptively quick at Sandown, and when you go and watch cars down there, it's pretty awesome. So we're under the ANCAP safety car here at Sandown. While we are, we'll take the opportunity to get a commercial breakaway. We'll come back and go racing in the Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge.
Are you a motoring enthusiast? Shannons are giving you the chance to win a trip to London and the 2020 Goodwood Revival, one of the biggest historic motorsport events in the world. Plus, tour through the English countryside in a Jaguar F-Pace for 15 days, visiting historic locations and unique motoring museums, with up to $5,000 spending money for eligible Shannons Club members. Plus, win a new Indian FTR 1200S motorcycle. To enter, get a quote on your special car, spouse's car, daily drive, your bike or home. Take out a new policy for even more chances of winning. Call Shannons on 134646 or go online today.
As a kid, I loved race cars, so my dream was to be able to race cars for a living. I would go to Barbagallo every year for the race. I stated it as a kid, it was my favourite weekend of the year. So I'll get all my mates along and I was a fan. Somewhere along the way, obviously Europe came calling and then, F1 was where it ended up. More years into my F1 career and you realise, I think if you put all into it, it's very tiring. And I was like, I think if I really go all out in F1, which is obviously the plan, then I'd probably just be done with race cars after that. But I don't know, after driving this today, I'm like, who am I kidding? Like, I think I'll always love racing and always love cars. Even once I'm done F1, I might want a bit of time away from cars, but I wouldn't count out that I'd like to do at least a Bathurst appearance one day.
Safer vehicle choices save lives. Find out who survives.
Stay in the moment, they say, but you're 4 steps ahead. Executing plans you've rehearsed countless times before, and moving on to the next thing. Because if you think you're done, you've only just begun. At Michelin, we never stop thinking about our next move. Or yours.
Everyone needs a bit of space. Sometimes more, and sometimes less. From personal space to breathing space, a creative space, outer space, space for more, and even the ever-elusive parking space. If you're looking for your happy space, we just might know the perfect place.
Still under safety car here at Sandown Raceways. We welcome back to our coverage of the Shannons Nationals here on Sunday morning. Cars continue to roll around behind the back of the ANCAP safety car while we clean up the mess in turn number 1. While we do that, let's head to pit lane with Emma Francesco.
Thank you very much, Nolte. Not the greatest start, of course, for Danny, but Jason Dunstan, nothing that some race tape can't fix.
Well, you know, it's something happened over in the turn 2-3 complex. They all funnels through there. Always happens here at Sandown. We knew where the pace car was, and we were just slapping as much race tape on the car until just come out there, send him out, keep him on the lead lap, NASCAR style.
Nice, thanks, Jason. Good luck.
No worries.
Ricky Bobby.
Well, it's a critical moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
They don't want to go a lap down here. You'll never get it back with 26 laps to go. So it's looking a bit better now at turn number 1, but it shows you how much garbage is on the outside and how narrow the line is through turn number 1. So word from race control is looking likely to go back to a restart at the end of this. It'll be 25 laps to go. The Jim Richards Endurance Trophy here on Sunday morning. Penultimate round of the Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge for season 2019. One round still remains. The Ben Motorsport Park in November. How quick has this year gone?
And friends at Michelin Tyres just confirming the track temperature currently 17 degrees. A very, very lovely 15 degrees ambient here in Springvale, near Springvale, the Dandenongs, in southeastern suburbs of Melbourne. It's a great part of the world. This is a terrific racetrack and the conditions are spectacular today. Turn 1 is going to be really hairy, and all of the team owners will be on the radios to their crews to just let them know where it's at. There's James Moffat watching on, bit of brekkie. The Gary Rogers Motorsport, Renault Megane TCR car, and Bruin Beasley, team manager down there with him as well. So lights are out. The ANCAP safety car will pull away from the 17-strong now pack of Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars. The penultimate round of Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge. It's up to Aaron Love to lead the field. He's a Michelin junior driver. He's been a sensation. He's come out of open wheel racing in Formula 4. He was a star there and won plenty of races. And he's following in the footsteps of big brother Jordan, who will represent Porsche Pace Carrera Cup Australia in Germany later this year. It's a great racing family, and he's got the weight of a big pack of Porsches as they come back to green. And we'll hold our breath, Matt. And it's a bit busy in the pack. Everyone just checking up. That was Michael Hovey just getting caught out a little bit. We hold our breath as they go to turn 1 because the conditions are unknown as they approach the braking zone at 240 k's an hour.
Trying to put some heat back in these Michelin tyres is critical on the first lap as we go back to green flag racing here at Sandown. You're watching Sam Shaheen. There is the train track of coolant going across the circuit from the earlier incident, but everybody looks like they're safely through. We get lap 6 underway. They're
all turning in pretty early there to avoid a lot of the worst of where all that coolant was laid down from the Garage 1 entry of Nathan Murray. There's Ross McGregor, Rob Woods behind him. Great restart. Aaron Love, he's got a couple of car lengths already as they run up towards turn 6. Vidot still second off the back of that brilliant launch off the line. That's one of the better starts of the season. Christian Pancioni up to third place. Wheel to wheel, that was Brett Bolton under pressure from Ollie Shannon. Bolton holds the position as they barrel down the hill. Great elevation change here at Sandown as well. And down to the corner they call Dandenong Road. Why? Well, it's because it's right next to Dandenong Road.
Literally behind that white fence. Main road back into Melbourne here as we pick up Love. Max Vidot with the greatest start, and now dramas again down at the bottom turn. And that's Woods who's facing the wrong direction, so he'll drop to the tail of the field. Aaron Love leads, Vidot second. They've put a margin back to Christian Pancioni. Ryan Sewell is next, Harry Jones. And Sam Shaheen runs in 6th position. This is lap 7.
So Vidot closing in on the teammate. Love was great early, and off the road goes Shaheen. It's battle for Tag Heuer Pro-Am, and Brett Bolton looking to get by. It was just in the back of the shot. as they were running down into turn 2. Sam just ran a little bit wide there. That concrete runoff, and now it's on for the lead. Vidot with a great drive out of turn 4, and we're going to go back to safety car for the second time. That'll be for the Rob Woods car down at Dandy Road. So the ANCAP safety car will be back on the circuit.
Just as we're seeing a change for the lead, the race slows once again, and is for Woods. So he's tried to get around at turn 9 and has found his way into the gravel trap. The Commercial Interior Projects entry is now beached.
Yeah, that looks unfortunate, doesn't it? I think you bang on, though. Tried to perhaps do the flick spin and unfortunately has ended up in the gravel trap. Should be a reasonably quick recovery, and hopefully that car's okay just to be dragged out, pointed in the right direction and sent rolling. There's the team. That's JP Messenger, engineer at Garth Walden Racing. Just watching on to see what they're doing with the car. So cast your eyes, blue and white car. It copped some damage early on. He was helped. Matt Belford going down the inside at Dandenong Road, helped around. There's the spin. So we saw that part of it. We didn't see why he ended up in the gravel trap. I suspect we may be about to get to that. The Actron Air replay. Here it is. That curb on the outside is bigger than you think, Woodsy. And unfortunately, it's just launched him across the runoff area and into the gravel.
And for Belford, that car has just spent some time in the pits being repaired. And now he'll be under investigation, no question about it, at race control. So back under the ANCAP safety car. Let's go to pit lane with Jack Perkins.
Yeah, I've down in the TCR garage found an interesting onlooker and former Porsche Carrera Cup driver in James Moffat. You're just commenting that looks like a long race out there.
Yeah, obviously this Cup Challenge, they get plenty of track time. It's good. So we're just having a look at the screen there. They've still got 24 laps to go. So boys will be worn out by the end of it.
So you raced Carrera Cup last year, Moff, and the Michelin tyre. What's going to go first in a longer race like this in the Porsche? Do the rear tyres wear out or the Michelins hang in there pretty good?
Look, the Michelin is a really good tyre, and the endurance of it is really strong as well. But, yeah, I think towards the end around here, they'll be battling for rear tyres, that's for sure. So, yeah, that's always, I guess, a trait of Sandown in general is rear tyre grip and wearing them out. So they'll have to manage it a bit, but the safety car will be helping them out as well.
Now, 2 TCR races coming up later today. You moved forward in yesterday's race. What's the thought process today? Can we move a bit further forward?
Well, we'll certainly try, Jacko. That's the aim of the game. But look, the thought process today is with the 2 back-to-back races is just get through race 1 today and put ourselves in a good position to race 3 to maybe get the elbows out and have a bit of a go then.
All the best, mate.
Cheers. Thank you.
Garth Walden, it's been a really tough weekend for you guys with Rob's car going back into the panel beaters on Friday night. Unfortunately, the bad luck just continues.
Yeah, it wasn't the best start of the weekend, obviously, with Rob's car on Friday, but it was a good job by the whole team involved to get him back out there yesterday, and we had a pretty solid day yesterday. I didn't quite see what happened there, but it looks like we got turned around at turn 9, which is unfortunate. But, yeah, it's been up and down weekend, but, yeah, we'll press on.
Thanks, Garth. Good luck.
Cheers.
Jack Perkins, Eminata Francesco down in the pits on our coverage here today at Sandown. The ANCAP safety car lights are out and heading back towards the pit lane. We just need to get some consistency with this race. Still 23 laps to go and almost 20 minutes into the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy. The final race of the weekend in the penultimate round of the Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge. Back to green flag racing. And it's the usual suspects at the front with Love, Vidot and Pancioni in the first 3.
Race has been going 18 minutes. We've only got 9 laps in the book, so I'll be keen for some green flag running. Back underway. Just been doing some arithmetic, and if they finish the way they are, Harry Jones will win the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy, but he'll only do it by 6 points. So with Aaron Love in front and off the road goes Belford. He is having an absolute shocker today off the road on the exit of turn 1. So just to recap, if Love wins and Harry Jones finishes 5th, Jones wins the Enduro Cup by 6 points. Nothing in it. Wouldn't want to lose any more positions, but he's got good margin to Sam Shahin, the Buick Motorworks car, the Ben Motorsport Park behind. Once again, Aaron Love is looking racy. Even shows the nose at turn 6. There's no move there if you're not that far alongside. And Ryan Sewell's looking to do the same on Christian Pancioni off the road. And into the tyres goes Ollie Shannon. We just heard from Garth Walden Racing. They've had a really tough weekend. He was the bright, shining light. And light contact with the tyre bundle. Ryan Sewell wrestles a spot away from Christian Pancioni. Harry Jones is going to get one here too. The 7's dropped it wide. He'll throw away a few spots. Harry's going to get himself up onto the podium, especially if they throw the safety car now. Wheel to wheel, he's got him. Pancioni will try and switch back on the run down into turn 1. Somehow this guy keeps finding himself in the top 3 when it doesn't look likely.
Off the back goes Tommy Taplin in the background of that shot as well into turn number 1. So don't we love safety car restarts? They just blow the field apart. Tough break for Ollie Shannon, hitting the ball in the background. Now it's on for Doe. They bang wheels side by side down the back straight. The Bob Jane T-Mart's car up against the Western Australian. Who is going to blink on the run down to turn number 6? This is exactly what we wanted to see. Who will hang tough? It's a yellow flag in the area. He had to back in behind.
Yeah, he was saved by the yellow flag there, Aaron Love. It looks like they're dealing with that under waved yellows with Ollie Shannon off in the tyres. Gee, that new runoff did its job, though.
Absolutely.
A year ago, that would have been a very, very large accident. So the new paved bitumen runoff area up at turn 6 slowed that car down in gentle contact with the tyres. What a battle for the lead. Max Vidot throwing everything in the kitchen sink at the race leader.
That was cool.
Yeah, how good Harry Jones. So it all started with his teammate Ryan Sewell. It's a bit of a team assist there. It's like he got the handball running through the middle of the field towards the 50-metre arch. He just got the assist and ultimately capitalised on Christian Pancioni. Great bit of driving, and that just makes the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy standings a little bit safer. We were talking about the permutations before.
If only we didn't have the yellow down there.
Man.
That was going to be awesome. They stayed side by side. They were like magnets heading down the back straight. And now he won't be able to do anything about it here because it looks like that yellow will be there for the rest of this race, which will go up to 9:53 plus 1 lap, so about 18 minutes away still of racing remaining. Vidot tucks underneath the rear wing of Love. Through turn 6 we go again.
Let's see if the car's still there. Wow, all out of shape. Aaron Love, this might open the opportunity for Doe. He grabs a Michelin going into Dandenong Road. I think the car's clear, so it could be an overtaking opportunity next time round.
Good to see.
Great work by the officials to manage that and let that car get out of the way. And it was really light contact, so I'm not surprised that Ollie was able to drive away. And yeah, he is actually circulating at the moment. Just confirmed that on the timing and scoring here in the commentary box. So what a motor race. Once again, Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge, turning it on. And it's friendly fire at the front. The two Sonic teammates and Vidot in front.
So cool. This race has got a long way to go. Into turn number 1. 19 laps to go. Might go a little bit shorter than that. But nonetheless, this series still kicking it like it's done all year long around the tracks of the Eastern Seaboard. And now we're seeing the boards light up. Fastest laps going everywhere as we get some consistency into these Michelin tyres. Down the back straight, lap 12 of 30. It's Vidot, Love, Jones, Pancioni, Sam Shaheen, Ryan Sewell now back up into 6th.
So Vidot now clear in front. Must have got him in that final complex. Run onto the start-finish straight. And Aaron will be coached through this in the knowledge that even if he finishes second, he'll win the round. And that will be the big talking point. That's the one you want. You want the big trophy at the end of the weekend. I'd love to win all 3 races, of course, but ultimately the big gain is in that round result, especially in a battle for second and third in the championship. Some tense times down at Sonic. This is a race team that is used to having more than one competitive car in an operation. Their Formula 4 team has always had 2 or 3 competitive drivers. Their Carrera Cup team this year has 3 really competitive race car drivers. Dale Wood, Michael Armand and Jordan Love, who are all more than capable of winning Porsche Pace Carrera Cup Australia races. And it's the same with their squad in the Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge. And they manage it 99% of the time. It gets managed really well. Sometimes you cannot restrain race car drivers and you get a bit of friendly fire. But that's just part and parcel of having such a competitive racing team.
Having 2 cars at the pointy end is tough. 3 cars, superhuman. And in Carrera Cup, almost impossible.
Yeah, they pull it off somehow. Dale Wood's got a huge margin at the pointy end of that championship, which continues in 2 weeks. The Mighty Mountain, Bathurst in New South Wales.
Now Vidot really fast into turn number 6 now. He's got a small advantage, but the 3rd and 4th cars just slowly reeling them in here. Sam Shaheen sitting behind him still, leading the Pro-Am class. Since Sewell got back up into 6th position on the previous lap, then it's Bolton, Taplin, who had that off and still managed to hold 8th position. Hovey and McGregor, 9th and 10th. Lap 14 of 30. Keep in mind, 9:53 local time plus 1 lap, which is 15 minutes away.
Yeah, plenty of racing to go. Don't worry about that. They'll go well into the final 10 laps before this race ends. And it's not done yet. Aaron Love continues to apply the pressure to his teammate Max Fido. It's been an interrupted race with safety cars. Let's go back and have a look at Sam Shahin. He's under pressure from Ryan Saul. Doesn't need to worry about Ryan Saul. Yes, it's track position on the race, but they're in different classes. He's in the Pro-Am class. He's got a 70-point lead in that championship over Brett Bolton. He just needs to beat Brett to continue to extend that margin. And it helps, Matt. Where's the final round of the Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge? A little place called the Ben Motorsport Park in South Australia. Sam, if you're unaware, has had a little bit to do with the development of that place over the last 5 years. So he'll be pretty comfortable going with a championship lead at literally a home race track, quite literally a home race track. Basically lives there.
It's his billing address.
Yeah, absolutely. With a nice points lead. So Ryan Saul should get down the inside here into the right-hander.
How far has Sam Shahin come along as a driver in the past few years? I remember when he came into this category in
enormous.
2015. He's a very consistent driver right now. Saul gets ahead as we start the 15th lap. Let's go back to pit lane with Emma.
Yeah, just watching on with Lee from McElroy Racing and your guys, all four in the top 10 at the moment. Harry also set to win that Jim Richards trophy.
That's correct, yeah. Currently Harry's in P3, and if he can stay there, that should wrap up the Jim Richards trophy. Ryan's just set the fastest lap in 5, and we've obviously got Brett and Michael Hovey second and third in Pro-Am as well. So at the moment, things stay how they are. We should be looking okay.
Thanks, Lee. Good luck.
Thank you.
Just on McElroy Racing, team boss Andy McElroy's not here this weekend. We say good day to Andy and Mel, both in California, watching their son Hunter McElroy, graduate of Australian Formula Ford, who's fighting for the championship in USF 2000. Really tough qualifying session. He'll start on the front row for race 1, which is a bit later on today, their time. Unfortunately, had an engine failure in qualifying 2, starts at the back, but he leads that championship. Our thoughts with that family, and hopefully he can bring another championship to this part of the world. But Lee Geyer, who's the head engineer at McElroy, just calling the shots this weekend. No dramas with that operation without the boss man here. Probably less stress.
Less stress.
G'day to Andy if you're watching.
Heavily experienced Lee Geyer, has been around for many, many years as well in motor racing. I saw Hunter McElroy race at Portland a few weeks ago and did a really, really good job over there too in one of the real tough open wheeler categories fitting the IndyCar series. Just wanted to rub that in, by the way.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
Didn't miss that at all. This is a really good battle. Aaron Love is not letting Vidot get away. And it looked like Max had pace to burn, and indeed he's just punched out the fastest first sector. But Aaron is just maintaining the pressure there, staying within a couple of car lengths. And these Jim Richards Endurance Trophies all season long, and I say all season, it's been the last 5 years. They always throw something up. They evolve. They're like a Bathurst 12-hour condensed into 40 minutes, and they've got different phases. They settle down, and then towards the end, it all just builds and builds and builds to a conclusion. This one's had a slightly different vibe. 2 safety cars earlier, one of them quite long, and that's just changed the flow of the race a little bit. And it'd also take any pressure they had on tyres out. Because they've done a lot of laps under yellow, the tyres are still going to be in very, very good shape. There's Eric Banner watching on.
Very avid Porsche fan.
He is, and has raced in this category, Matt, in the Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge, which is very cool.
Started in 944s back when I started calling all those years ago. The very first year I did it too. Real great guy.
I watched, and I'm not joking, I watched Love the Beast just a couple of weeks ago. It's one of the great Aussie car movies ever made. Story about the mighty XB Falcon hardtop.
Loves his motorsport. He genuinely loves it. Has done for many, many years. Great to have him here today as part of the Shannons Nationals, the penultimate round of the season. 14 laps to go, lap 17 of the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy. Max Fido on a flying lap right now as he starts to break the spirit of Aaron Love in second place. Jones is back about 3 seconds away, Pancioni third and fourth. Then we go back to Saul, Shaheen, Taplin, Bolton, Michael Hovey and Ross McGregor unchanged inside that top 10.
Harry Jones, as he has done all season long, doing everything he needs to do to tick the box, to win the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy, named after one of the greats. The inaugural Porsche Carrera Cup Australia champion was Jim Richards, way back in the early 2000s. A great ambassador of the Brown, remains so. He was at the Ben Motorsport Park a couple of weeks ago for a Porsche GT2 owners event. Had a record gathering of GT2 and GT2 RSs over at the Bend, and Jim was there to have a chat to some of the owners and drive some cars. Multiple Target Tasmania winner. No better exponent to name a trophy after for One Make Porsche Racing. And as I touched on at the top of the show, it's been a trophy that everyone wants to win. Cooper Murray won it last year in a really successful season. He's doing great things in Carrera Cup. Jordan Love won it 2 years ago. He's now doing great things in Carrera Cup. There's a theme here, by the way. And Jackson Evans won it in 2016. Before that, James Abella in 15. Fraser Ross the year before. Richard Muscat, the 2013 champion. Saw him this morning. He's here driver coaching with Danny Studdard. Good to see Rich. Kane Rose, great Victorian race car driver in 12. And Roger Largo, who's still racing, still doing good things and back in Porsche Pace Carrera Cup. Won the inaugural Jim Richards Trophy in 2011. It's a great part of the championship. Always entertaining races. We'll crown a new champion today.
So the gap sits at just under a second. Fastest lap of the race now to Aaron Love, 1 minute 10.1. Last time by, they're separated by 1/10 of a second. As we enter the final 8 minutes of this race, it will go time certain. And Aaron Love getting himself into the box seat. They're pulling away now. It's out to 4.4 seconds to Harry Jones. He's just controlling that position ahead of Pancioni. Guys outside the top 10, including Goldie, whose car was repaired overnight on Friday after an incident during qualifying. You've got Williams 12th, Gregan 13th, Belford, who transited the pit lane for that incident down at turn number 9, is 14th. And Ollie Shannon recovering after the lose right here in turn 6, runs in 15th.
Send a shout out to our mates at Michelin, who are an amazing partner of this series. The tyre is awesome because we're 18 laps into this race and they are on lap record pace. Currently Max Vidot fastest in the first sector, Aaron Love fastest overall on this lap. Could see some pretty attractive numbers pop up on the timing monitor in just a second. Let's see what they do this time around. What's the lap time for Max Vidot? It's a 10.19 for Vidot, almost lap record pace, and Love does a 10.3. And he has got the fastest lap of the race so far, just off the lap record, which was set by Ryan Sewell yesterday. The pace is hot. Even the Seagull's getting into it.
Find the best seat to watch the final few laps.
They'll fly over turn 1. Love it. So it's a great battle between the Sonic cars. They're 1 and 2. Sam Shahin leads Tag Heuer Pro-Am. We can jump down to Emma Nota Francesco and pit lane.
Yeah, just watching on with Michael Henry. This place remains Sonic territory. A great job by your boys this weekend.
Yeah, it has been, hasn't it? Max has had to fight back a bit, but showing the car speed now, really happy. They've settled into a rhythm, and it's nice to have a good result in a long race like this. So we've got to get it done yet, but so far so good.
I know you love this place. Did I hear you used to wag school to come and watch Brocky race back in the days?
Yes, I did. My high school wasn't far from here and you could hear them. So I used to come down here when I was a kid and watch Brocky in the A9X testing. So, yeah, I have to admit to my old school teachers, I used to wag school a bit.
Thanks, Michael.
See the squirm in Mike Henry's face said, yes, I did. We've all done it, let's be honest.
No, actually, I don't think I ever did wag school to go to car racing. I'm very, very straight and narrow kind of person.
Boring.
Man. Yep. I'm fine with
Actually,
that. He didn't go to school.
No.
That's a good interview. He's a great character. Wow, new lap record. Ryan Sewell into the 9s in race conditions in a cup car at Sandown. That is just outstanding. 109.95 for this young guy, open wheel graduate, who is currently running in 5th place and trying to chase down Christian Pancioni to get himself up into 4th place. And Harry Jones not that far up the road. That's a really good number.
Why are we seeing these kind of laps now? I mean, the track, we've got different tarmac surfaces. I'm not just saying in Michelin GT3 Cup, but we saw it in the Super 3 yesterday as well.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons, Matt. One, right now, perfect track conditions. It will not get better to punch out lap times. The air's quite cool, the track quite warm. So the tyres are getting lots of grip, but cool air means more horsepower. So the cars are fast naturally in these conditions. If you could give a driver a qualifying session conditions, they'd pick this right now, wouldn't they? So this is absolutely perfect. Everyone's going quick at the moment. And actually, Vidot's just gone under the lap record as well in the lead of the race. So they're all punching out PB laps a long way in, 21 laps into the race. Yeah, a couple of reasons on that. Resurfacing in patches around this venue. And a lot of the resurfacing has been done into a corner. So what drivers are finding is that their entry speed is higher. They're braking a little bit later, but their turn-in speed is a little bit higher because they've got more grip on new bitumen. The other thing I think are the changes up at turn 6. We'll see it soon. Harry Jones is heading up that way now. They can use a lot more of that curb on the inside at turn 7 as well, where they bounce over on the run down into Dandenong Road. It's probably worth a couple of tenths. But you're right, it's been a lap record breaking weekend, hasn't it?
Great.
Fastest we've seen Sandown.
And the modifications Crowley's talking about down here to turn 6, if you haven't seen our coverage all weekend, right through here, extended out the runoff right across the left-hand side there, really has opened up this part of the track.
So they're using more curb there, especially in a cup car. We're not noted for using lots of curb in Porsche one-make racing. They're using more of it there on the run down of the hill with that new runoff behind it. Hey, that I think has got to be a massive tick in the box, doesn't it? As Christian Pancioni grabs a break, and this is going to expose him to attack here from Ryan Sewell. Just drags the margin down to half a car length, and Sewell's going to get a big help with some aero assist on the run down to turn 1. Pancioni immediately drives down the yellow line on the inside. He has to stay there now because he's made his one move in defence, and it was one move enough. Covered his racing line, holds his position. Just to go back to my point, I think that's a massive tick from a safety point of view, and we saw that moment with Ollie Shannon earlier in the race. I'm convinced that would have been quite a big crash 12 months ago, but the concrete and bitumen runoff slowed the car, gentle touch into the tyres. I'm not saying you're not going to have big crashes there. It's a high-speed corner. It's a 200k/h corner, Matt, but I think they've improved it. I think it's a safer bit of road now.
Yeah, my concern at the start of the weekend was it would promote more guys trying to use the outside, but you really can't because the dirt at the end now, we saw drivers yesterday being caught out with splitter damage in the end there. So, and you can't go any further back with the runoff because there's a major highway behind it. So it really has improved the conditions of the Sandown Raceway.
Michael Armand on screen. He's coaching Rob Woods and the GWR Australia guys. Porsche Pace Carrera Cup Australia front runner. He's a ripper dude. Very good race car driver. His dad Ross was an outstanding driver as well. Raced Porsches and some Evo production cars amongst other things. And that's part of what we're seeing in Porsche one-make racing now as well, is that the Porsche Pace Carrera Cup drivers are coaching those in Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge, only to see them come up into the main game and sometimes beat them as well. Warren Luff, he's here this weekend working with McElroy, as he's done for a very long time. Sonic Boys using the same thing. Right, let's see what Ryan Sewell's got this time by. He's on the comeback trail. Good drive out of turn 4. Traditionally been strong there all weekend, hasn't he? He's had good car speed in the run up into turn 6. What about this wheel-to-wheel now? Pancioni on driver's left. He'll hold on for this time.
And it's Pancioni that made the mistake in turn 3, which enabled Sewell to get better drive. This time, Pancioni has the better run down at Dandenong Road corner. So the lap record now sits at 109.95 of this race to Ryan Sewell. Incredible conditions here today. 2 ANCAP safety car periods at the start of this race. We have 5 laps to go. We're approaching the time certain point in the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy, the final day of the Shannons Nationals here at Sandown.
And Ryan Sewell will want to get this move done before the end of this as he looks down the inside now. Pancioni made one move, Sewell went and then went again. Great driving. And just a little bit wide there, Christian went in deep trying to cover his line. The overtake is complete. Car 7 passes 76. VCM Performance car will drop back to P5.
Good move.
Really good move.
10 seconds. It's Jones to the leaders now. Verdot out to nearly 3 seconds and on another flying lap. He wants to take home the win and the lap record here today at Sandown. He shut down any chance that Aaron Love has thrown. It was less than a second a few laps ago, but now well out to 3 seconds.
And that could be a critical move, Matt, because I'm pretty certain that's going to get Ryan Sewell to 3rd overall for the weekend. So that will get him onto the podium for round 5 of the championship. That will be a key pass. Nicely done. I like how he just kept going. Saw Pancioni defending, just went, no, I'm going anyway.
Taking no for an answer.
Committing.
The leader passing Ollie Shannon, who takes the extreme wide line at turn number 1.
And no interference there.
None at all. And now a lap car between first and second. Well, Verdot got his own personal best lap record, but still away by about 200ths of a second. As we approach the time distance, time certain point of this race. There's Ollie Shannon, Aaron Love behind. Blue flag's been shown to the white number 38. Down the long back straight we go in the closing laps of this race.
So he won the first 4 straight races in the championship, Max Verdot, this year, and had a big lead early on. But unfortunately, DNF's hurt his cause. One in race 2 at Sydney Motorsport Park, another one at Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. So he's been a winning driver. He's got lots of great performances, but consistency just hasn't quite been there, and those DNFs are so costly in a championship this competitive.
Tom Taplin, after going off earlier in the race, is on the back of Sam Shaheen, but remember, they're racing in different classes here today. Shaheen really racing Brett Bolton, who's back in 8th position, but 4 seconds away with just over a lap remaining in this race. So Taplin, who got that drive-through yesterday for contact with Max Vidot at turn number 3, really hasn't clawed his way back up to the top 5, has he?
He's got good pace though.
Yep.
And this is really his first full year of racing in the outright class in Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge. He's a talented young guy. He's got a lot of time in front of him. He's been coached by Alex Davison. And Alex said, man, he's really fast. Doesn't have a lot of experience, doesn't have that junior formula background that a lot of young kids do in the sport these days. So starting from ground zero, but really building up. Saw his dad Andrew this morning, former racer in his own right in Australian GT. Terrific steerer, and a great South Aussie racing family. There's a few of them around.
Taplin Real Estate, one of the iconic real estates.
So checkered flag, Max Vidot. Speaking of great South Aussie racing families, there's another one. It's win number 7 for the season. Well done, Max Vidot. Fought hard for that. Aaron Love second will win the round. Terrific performance. A 1-2 for Sonic Motor Racing. And Harry Jones seals the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy. The first title, potentially of 2 this year. The young man from Queensland. Family here watching on this weekend. That's a great performance. Ryan Saul 4th with a brand new Sandown lap record into the 9s. 109.95. Decent performance. FC with Motorsport 5th. And Sam Shaheen wins the Pro-Am class.
And does it again nicely. Confirmation of the results there. 1.9 seconds in the end. So Vidot was in cruise control in the shortened Jim Richards Endurance Trophy here today. 27 laps in the end. Just down on getting the 30. He'll win from Aaron Love, Harry Jones, Ryan Saul, Christian Pancioni 5th, and Sam Shaheen, who'll pick up the Pro-Am honours. Tom Taplin 7th, Brett Bolton, Michael Hovey, and Ross McGregor completing the top 10. Those guys locked out those positions pretty much from the start of today's race.
Yeah, good to see Roscoe getting in the top 10 to round out a solid weekend. Andrew Goldie takes out Class B after a tough weekend. He was 11th, Graham Williams 12th, David Gregg 13th, Belford, Shannon, Studdard, Woods. The finishes, Murray and Glickston out at turn 1. Just confirming Aaron Love wins the round over Jones and Sewell. Sam Shaheen wins Pro-Am. Here's how it played out, and that race win ultimately came via a superb start for Max Vidot and the Bob Jane Team Arts Sonic Motor Racing entry. He went after his teammate Aaron Love. He won races 1 and 2. There was dramas behind. Nathan Murray, Matt Belford, Jonathan Glickston all caught up in dramas down at turn 1.
We questioned Max Vidot's start, but several looks at the replay just showed it was just dynamite compared to the guys around him. This was Belford coming back onto the circuit after being repaired, getting into the side of Woods down at turn number 9. Woods tried to get the car back on the circuit, but found the bunker on the right-hand side, which would bring out the second AMCAP safety car.
So on the restart, it was another battle between the two teammates, and Love was saved once by a safety car. Vidot was on the attack. New runoff doing its job. Ollie Shannon had a moment and went off the road. This was Ryan Saul. He put the move on Pancioni. Ultimately, it helped his teammate Harry Jones past the 2 of them in one corner and got himself onto the podium.
It was Taplin running wide down at turn number 1. Dropped a couple of spots, but would claw his way back up into 7th position at the end of this race. This was Saul on the back of Pancioni, just set him up and took no for an answer down here at turn number 1. And the white 7 would eventually hold down that 4th spot. It was a great move.
Yeah, cracking bit of racing that. He was going to go. That was his pass to make. And Max Vidot for win number 7 of the season to get himself back into the fight for second in the championship. And a really, really impressive drive to take the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy race here at Sandown. Won't get on the podium for the round, but that's a positive result after a tough start to his weekend.